I haven't always been this healthy looking person. I started off pretty fat for the age I was and for the height I was as well. And then I lost a little bit of weight, due to puberty and aging and all that kind of stuff, where I got to a bit of a skinny fat period. But then again, I still wasn't athletic. I still didn't have the physique. So I went from this fat, then I went to skinny fat, went to really skinny, and then I got to where I am now. There's 3 reasons why you aren't gaining the muscle that you want to gain. 3 reasons is that you're either training like a bitch, or you're not eating enough, and the 3rd thing, you're not sleeping enough. And all these 3 really come intertwined into the entire thing about how to build muscle, be more athletic, be more aesthetic, be stronger. All of them come into one, and I'll explain them in a bit of detail in this video. By the end of this video, you should know exactly what you need to do if you haven't been gaining muscle. And these 3 things will probably be why you're not gaining muscle. The first thing, as I mentioned, is that you are training like a bitch. Now, what do I mean by that, right? I'm not trying to insult you. I'm not trying to stop you from going to the gym. But it's genuinely true. There's a certain threshold which people have to pass when they're training so that they know where failure is. And there's usually a block, right? So imagine, there's a barrier here when you're doing a certain amount of reps, and people usually stop at this barrier even though you're capable to go past to this point, which is your failure point. And if you break past this barrier, this is basically breaking the muscle tissue. When you break past that barrier and go to this point, that's a lot of progress. That's where all the main progress will be, that gap between here. So you have to go past that sticking point and actually hit true failure. And it's actually really difficult when you're starting because people don't know where true failure is. If it's a new stimulus to you, you won't know what to push to. So you have to realize at some point, have a switch moment and actually train hard. And the way I've done this to figure out where my point of failure would be is that I just think about doing 1 or 2 sets on that exercise. So you do 1 set of relatively hard effort, and the other set you'll just focus on finishing that fucking exercise or finishing off that muscle. You have to ask yourself, really tell yourself, being like, I'm gonna do this, that's it. This is the only time I'm doing this exercise today. After I do this set, I won't have to do this exercise again. So you have to keep that mentality that you can push past this point because you're not doing this exercise again. You might as well. And the other thing I like to do, right, you could imagine that if you don't do this rep, you die. But this is a bit fucking, it's a bit grim that I actually think of this, but I think that if I don't do this rep, my parents die. That's literally the thing that's going through my head when I really want to hit failure. I'm just thinking, if I don't do this rep, my parents will die. And I really close my eyes and visualize it. Sometimes I would imagine a gun to my head, or sometimes I would imagine, yeah, my parents would die if I don't do this rep. And that's where you truly find where failure is. And as long as you find that point of failure, you will stop training like a bitch, because you know the close point to failure. And as long as you're going towards that point or even hitting that point, then you avoid training like a bitch and you actually start focusing on the things that you need to be training as with the intensity that you need to. I think that's another point where intensity is actually really, really important. So how do you have that intensity? So a lot of people think the pushing motion, or the up motion or the down motion or the pulling motion is the important part of the rep, right? It's not. Think about the other way around, where it's actually when you're pulling it back on a chest press, or when you're pulling it back up on a tricep push down, or when you're pulling it back up on a lat pull down. Those are the most important parts. It's the pulling back on a chest press, it's the pulling back up on a tricep extension, it's the pulling back down on a bicep curl. Those are the most important parts. It's the forgot what the word is. You have to push, and then when you're coming back, there's another word for it, and I can't lie, I don't know the scientific word, but you basically want to control it on the way back. And that's the more important part of the rep, because that's where you're keeping it under tension. That's where you're stretching and tearing the muscle. So focus on it's actually really annoying me. Fuck. You know what? Two movements on the left. Oh. It's it's the eccentric phase, right? So you want to control the eccentric, right? That's basically what you have to do to have that intensity, and you make sure you're slowing it down and really feeling the muscle. That's where you get intensity, and then if you keep progressively overloading that every week and stop training like a pussy, then you'll actually see progress. Okay, let's assume that you are training as to failure, or you are training hard, right? So the second thing is probably that you're not eating enough. And I know, right? I know it doesn't seem like a big thing. When I first started, I didn't think eating or sleep would make that big of a deal in my training, but it does. So when it comes to eating, you have to think about it, right? You've just trained a certain muscle. That muscle fibers have been torn. They've been torn. They need to be repaired. When you need to repair it, you need to provide your body with a certain amount of energy to repair those muscles. So you need to provide the energy, which is the calories, and you need to eat more calories so that those muscles can get repaired. If you don't eat enough calories, those muscles won't get repaired and they won't come back stronger. They won't come back fully recovered or in the same speed as you would like them to. You can do all the hard work training, but you won't see as much progress as you would like to if you aren't eating enough. It's very simple. There's an amount of energy that you need to put in for the amount of progress you want to get out. So you have to eat more if you want your progress. I can't go in any more detail than that. It's as simple as that. You have to eat more and you have to train hard. Those things come hand in hand. The third thing is sleep. And the reason I say sleep, right, is recovery. Like, if you're tearing your muscles, think about it practically. Think about it in just on paper. If you're tearing your muscles, they need to recover. They need to repair themselves. And your body can do that as long as you're eating enough, and they will be torn if you're training hard enough, and your sleep will be the time where they recover, where they actually fix themselves up. And yeah, it's going to be little differences that add up over time. It's not like you're going to do one training session, the next day you're going to wake up with massive pecs. It's like, you got to give yourself time to build upon that. But you have to keep consistent across these three things for a long period of time. So for sleep, you want to be going to sleep at the same time and waking up at the same time. And you want to be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. At least. As long as you're getting 7 to 9 hours, and as long as you're sleeping at the same time and waking up at the same time, you'll feel energized, you'll have repaired muscles, you'll progress more, you'll feel more energetic, and as long as you're eating a lot, you'll be able to fill up all those tears that you have in your muscles from training difficult, from training hard, from training to failure. As long as you go across these three things I've told you, I guarantee that you won't have a problem of not gaining muscle. I guarantee you will see progress. These are the basics, the three simple things that you have to do if you really want to gain muscle. And I know you do, which is why you clicked on this video. So yes, do those three things and I guarantee you will gain muscle. Hopefully this video has been of value to you. I've just really tried to simplify it and condense it down so it's easy for you to digest and understand so you can make progress. So hopefully it's been of value to you. For anyone new, my name is Vanch, and yeah, I just upload videos with some sort of value, so click on subscribe and the post notifications if you want to see more videos of value. And just another thing as well, I've made this Fiverr thing where I can have like a one-to-one 1 hour call with you because I find it so much better to have like an authentic conversation with someone so I can give them specific advice. It's so much easier for me to do that than generalize everything. So if you want that, click on the link in the description. And I can't lie, I really tried to put it at the cheapest price, but Fiverr are being gay and I can't put it below $5 or whatever, so I'm sorry, but if you can pay that, then that would be great. I can have a conversation with you and hopefully I can help you out. Thank you for listening to me, man. It's been a pleasure, as always. Go see you in a bit.